It's a chance. He looks inboard now, decides to have a shot at the goal. What a magic moment for Travis Marco. Good tackle to going. What is the umpire call? Just couldn't get Luke to ball. Adams can. 2 in a row, Magpies.
Grundy just got the spoils. Kelly holding the ball.
Stevenson gives chase. And a really good tackle on gets it off. Kakoe. In some room and beautiful finish.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Elimination Final pre-game show, proudly sponsored by our matchday partner in Emirates. And I'm joined here at the Holden Centre by club legend. Check this out for a CV. 313 games, 1990 All-Australian, Premiership captain, Norm Smith medalist that year, also won the Copeland and he won 2 of those. Collingwood Hall of Famer and Team of the Century, club legend and all-round nice guy, Tony Shaw, who's joined us before going in to do his 3AW commitments. You're calling the game tonight, Tony, but mate, you're back in the hood. Welcome.
Oh, this is beautiful, isn't it, Gleno? I wish the players were still in Victoria, but now looking forward to the game. Wasn't a great game against the West Coast last start, but I think you forget about that now. The boys have just got to go out there and play their own game and think about how they do things well.
Well, tonight we're going to go through the game at some stage, but I also spoke to a couple of the players, so we're going to speak to Isaac Quaynor, also Taylor Adams, and we spoke with Nick Maxwell. We'll look at the game in depth, and we'll also hear from you about some of your 90 memories and a couple of the classic moments that happened during that year. But before you arrived this afternoon, we caught up with Isaac Quaynor.
Q, first of all, thanks for joining us and congratulations on your round 17 Rising Star nomination. You look like you're playing with a lot of confidence and you're really enjoying your footy with a rock-solid backline.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty fortunate to be playing in the likes of a few pretty strong backline players. Obviously, Darcy Moore, probably the best centre-half back in the comp. And he's been instilling a lot of confidence in me to go out and just play to my strengths week in, week out. And I think players like that and the other leaders in the back line have really played a role in me being able to feel really comfortable out there on the weekends.
Who have you been working really closely with too at the club to work on your game?
I'd say probably footy-wise, it's been Jack Crisp and Braden Maynard. Obviously, 2 really well-rounded players who, are well-respected in the league. So, and they play similar positions to me as well. So I've been trying to take little pieces from their games and kind of try to chuck it into my game. So, yeah, those 2 have been really good mentors on the field for me and kind of kept me in check while I'm out there as well.
Now, I have to ask, we'll go back to the leg injury earlier in the year. We were all sitting there going, what's happening? And none of us quite knew what was going on and how bad it was. What went through your mind when you looked down at your leg and you had that gash in your leg?
Yeah, I think at the start it was just disbelief, really, that, on a football field you can... When I looked down and I could see white and my leg was open and it was just, I just couldn't believe it initially. So it was probably just like, am I dreaming or is this real? And then once I realised and the pain started to set in a little bit, I was just like trying to get the physios over to try and help me out basically. And that was about it. So there wasn't much going through my head. And I thankfully, I think because of the shock factor of it, I wasn't really in too much pain, which was good. So very fortunate. I got a really good surgeon to patch me up, and 3 weeks later I was able to be back out there. So very fortunate.
Well, you look like Hub Life's treating you well, but I'm asking the players, who's the guy in the Hub that you don't ever want to see again after having to spend the last couple of months with them?
Yeah, for me, it's Mark Keane, the big Irishman. He's a big bully. And us 2, I spoke about it with one of the boys earlier today. We're both quite stubborn and we like to argue. So we will literally argue over the littlest and stupidest things ever, all day, every day. And I think by the end of it, I'll be pretty keen for him to be getting back to Ireland and so I can have a few weeks away from the big fella. But no, we're like best mates, really close. So obviously love his company, but yeah, he's a handful, that's for sure.
And have you had time to work on your golf game? Because we did see some vision of you playing golf with the Browns, and I've got to say it didn't look too great. We might have to get you down to see Doug Barwick at Ray Drummond in Preston there and get you on the simulator. But have you had some more time to work on the swing?
I've definitely had time, but I haven't actually put much effort into it at all. I think that last game has really lowered my colours in regards to how I go about golf and how eager I am to get back out there. So I actually haven't played since that last game. So look, I don't really enjoy it too much, and I'm not great at it. So I just go for the entertainment usually, and just to get the morale of the boys up. So I haven't been needed as of late, but I'll be ready for a call up whenever.
Right, on to the serious stuff. It's going to be a really tough game against West Coast tonight. Last time we played them, we saw how dominant their midfield is, and you're going to expect that the ball's going to be coming into that back line thick and fast. What are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, well, obviously West Coast is a very well-rounded side. Obviously, as you said, great midfield, a great ruckman in Nick Nat as well. But I think we have all the I guess pieces to be able to challenge them in every single way. So I think we go into the game obviously underdogs, and I think that puts no pressure on us. We can go out there, do our thing, and I'm really confident that we'll be able to get the win. So it'll be an exciting game nonetheless. It's going to be a hostile crowd. My first final, so I'm super excited. But yeah, I think that we can definitely get the job done. Well,
mate, thanks for joining us. I know you probably want to go and have a little rest up before the game, but good luck and thanks again.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
He's a fine young man, Isaac Quaynor, and you must be really impressed with what you've seen this year from him, Tony.
Well, I am. I love the way that he takes the game on, and I think he's really improved one-on-one. He was a couple of times, when you're a youngster, you've got to find your way around those sort of things. But as he said, they're working with Crispy and also Braden Maynard. They're going to show him the ropes and tell him what to do under pressure and how to position yourself better. So he might have a big role tonight because, those two players plus Isaac might have the job on Liam Ryan, who's a very dangerous player. So I love the way he goes about his football. I think we needed his attack out of that area to help us.
Yeah, he's really good on the run and carry, so hopefully we see plenty of that out of the back line tonight. Well, let's take a look at the last time that we played West Coast. So obviously it was round 8, we went over there. Let's look at the key stats from the game, Tony, because obviously big score. West Coast kicked 111 to our 45 and they won by 66 points. We had no Degoe. Pendlebury was a laid out with the quad, but they were super accurate. I mean, they kicked 18 goals 3. Kennedy kicked 7. The ball was coming in, thick and fast. We had their midfield, Kelly with 29, Gaff with 26, and Yo as well with 22. For us, Treloar with 22 possessions, Adams 21. Darcy Cameron kicked 2 goals, Hoskin Elliott 2. If we can get 2 goals out of Darcy Cameron tonight, fantastic. He's done his job.
Well, yeah, he's got a big job, hasn't he? Helping Brodie Grundy to... Nick Nat Nui is the informed ruckman of the season, All-Australian, and his clearance work last time was just too good. What we've got to do, I think there's ways around it, and Darcy Cameron's good because you want someone who can go forward and kick a goal. You've got Mason Cox down there, you can rotate them. I'd rather Coxie stay forward, and then I think Cameron going forward and then coming out to help Brodie's the way to go. One thing I think Brodie should have got to do tonight, I don't think Nick Nat defends all that well when you have to go hard to a big area. I'd like to see him be a conduit, Brodie, into the wing, really push hard to the wing and say, okay, you can't influence the game either end where the ball's gone, and Nick Nat doesn't kick a lot of goals, doesn't run forward a lot. I think, try and work out, are we a chance of winning the ball and just really push hard and give us an outlet from the back up. Then quick handball, try and get through the lines to get over their defence, which is pretty good. They played pretty well together.
Their midfield last time was instrumental in that win. And when you look at the inside 50s, we actually won the inside 50s 37-35, but it was that efficiency inside 50. They were running at 74%. We were running at just 46. And also their marks inside 50. They took 14 marks and we took just 8. They got 26 shots on goal and we had 17. But the other areas too was around the ball. It was the uncontested possession. They seemed to control the game. 189 to 156 in their favour, and they took 86 marks as well to our 60. So they got on top too in those centre clearances and the stoppage clearances. It was just really evident that they wanted to control the game and they got it all on their terms. We can't have that happen tonight.
Yeah, you know what I thought in that period of time? One, you've just talked about the midfield dominance, and if you don't stop them, they use the ball pretty well. They're a pretty talented team. But the thing about it, Scotty Pendlebury, before the game out, you lose leadership, you lose 30 possessions, you lose class. So that would have been a kick in the backside. The other thing, Brodie at that period of time when they played the West Coast, I just think he was feeling the pinch of so much load, and now I think that's been lessened. So that's why I think Darcy coming in is going to be really help. But look, in everything they did, the kick as accurate as that, and then also that efficiency inside 50, that is unheard of. That doesn't happen. We're talking about finals now, so hopefully the pressure is up. And like I said, I don't know whether they would have looked at that a lot in reviewing or coming into this game, because I think things just didn't work. Sometimes you just let it slide, and then, Collingwood, the last month, I reckon, has been really good form. So you don't want to go back that far. You don't worry about that. But you understand, you learn from the lessons from a loss like that. But I think they're better equipped now at this stage of the season to take the West Coast on. Yeah,
looking back on that game, it was like everything went right for West Coast. They were kicking goals from everywhere, right out on the 50 metre on the boundary. Everything worked for them, but it was definitely that midfield dominance for me that was the difference.
Yeah.
One of the guys that's in the midfield for us tonight is Taylor Adams. He's playing his 150th game, and I spoke to him earlier this afternoon.
Tay, thanks for joining us. First of all, fill us in what this week has been like for you. I mean, it's very different to every other week in the hub because you're in Perth. Tell us what it's been like for you and the team.
Yeah, so we've come back to Joondalup, the resort here, and we spent 2 weeks here at the very beginning of our period on the road. So we flew out on Friday. We had a 7-day quarantine period that we needed to serve before we could play the Eagles. So we've been doing that here at Joondalup. We've been allowed to leave for training purposes, so we're allowed to go to an oval just to train. So we've done that twice this week, and we're able to train on Optus Stadium on Thursday night, which was pretty cool. The boys liked that one. But the weeks, obviously we're stuck inside the fences, but we're pretty lucky in terms of the setup we've got here. There's a pool, there's a gym. There's plenty of games rooms that the boys are making use of. So it's not like hard quarantine where you're stuck in a hotel room. But the freedom of going down the street for a coffee, we unfortunately don't have at the moment.
You seem like the sort of bloke from watching you that just loves to roll your sleeves up and just get out there. Was that your attitude when you approached the season, knowing that the challenge that it would present? And you've had a great season, especially, off the back of your All-Australian announcement. So was that your mindset at the start of the year?
Yeah, it was obviously something that none of us have seen before, or we weren't prepared to go through. So, I think the way that, once the announcement came through that the season was postponed, and we sort of didn't know when the restart was going to occur, I just sort of set myself a bit of a plan and got to work pretty much straight away. We're able to train in smaller groups, in pairs, and so I did a fair bit of work with my brother. We got down to the oval every second day and trained as much as we could, and just took it as an opportunity to work on things that I knew that I needed to improve on. And we had about 10 weeks to do that, and then obviously back to the club for a few weeks where we were able to train against each other and tackle and get our match practice back in. And I actually felt really confident coming out of the quarantine period. Sorry, the layoff period, that I was going to be able to perform well, and the body was feeling really good. So I think that's the crux of it. Really, just had a really good plan and was able to execute over the period away.
You've done really well living out of a suitcase, especially, as I mentioned, getting your All-Australian call up. That must have been a really proud moment for you as well.
Yeah, it was. It was something that probably didn't expect, to be completely honest. I got the call from Walsh. I was actually on the golf course with Jeremy Howe, and I was probably hoping that I'd make the 40-man squad, and that hadn't been announced as of yet. So when I got the call from Walsh, it was either I was in the 40-man squad or I'd done something to get myself in trouble. Luckily, it was better than both of those, and I was named in the team. So I was really proud. Obviously, it's quite short-lived given the fact that the season's still going, and we're about to head over to Perth and play in a huge final at that time. So quick call to mum and dad and my grandparents, and obviously influx Thursday night, and that was nice to share that moment with the people that have supported me throughout not only my AFL career but leading into being drafted and as a young kid growing up and playing footy for a local club and that sort of thing. So, I loved it. It'll be something that I'll look back on at the end of this season, and with folks, it'll be nice to reflect.
Well, you're pretty much living on top of each other there, and I'm asking all the players this. Who is the one player that you'd be happy to never see again after being stuck in quarantine with him for the last few months?
Good question. Oh, no one really springs to mind. Maybe Jack Madsen. Jack's just always on. There's no off button with him, and I love it. But at times I'm just like, dude, just hit the mute button for a second. But we've done a really good job. There hasn't been any bickering or fighting. It's been pretty smooth sailing from day one. So I'm sure the boys will be looking forward to seeing the back ends of each other. But we'll get a good break away from each other once the season's over, hopefully in a month.
Well, mate, I'm speaking on behalf of all Collingwood supporters. We absolutely love the way that you go about it, both on and off the field. Congratulations on your 150th game tonight against the Eagles. You'll be sharing that with your mate Brodie Grundy in the midfield. So we're all right behind you, everyone that's down here in Melbourne. But like I said, congratulations and good luck for tonight.
Thanks, mate, and I hope everyone's doing okay in Melbourne. We're certainly thinking of you, and we thank you all for your support throughout what's been a really difficult year. So thanks a lot.
Thanks for joining us, Tay. Good luck, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
Listening to that interview, Tony, and see the way he's gone about his footy this year, you must be really impressed with what Tay Adams brings to the side. He's just a great young man.
Oh, look, he competes. You love, at least you can live with that, knowing that every time that he goes over the white line, you've got to beat him. And it's hard to do because he's playing. I love that during the year, though, he said, and this is what leadership's about, he said that he had to learn that one thing, his disposal, he wanted to really improve his disposal, and he's worked on that. I just love that because, we all Australian, so he's reached the heights, a really good level. But to know that he's got the limitations and that he can still learn, that's what leadership's about in my eyes, and a great example to all the younger players at the club.
Well, another great leader at the club is the only bloke I know besides you who's captained us to a premiership, and that's Nick Maxwell. He's up there. He's over there in WA, and I spoke with him earlier this afternoon.
Maxie, thanks for joining us. It was 10 years yesterday that we won the 2010 premiership. We haven't been able to celebrate that at all, and I think you've only got one bloke with you in Pendles that's played in that team, because Steele's obviously back in Melbourne. But have you been able to reminisce much about that, and have you spoken to any of your 2010 premiership teammates this week?
Thanks for having me, Moz. Yeah, it's been very strange, I guess, because we're obviously in lockdown here. So I did walk past Pendles early in the morning, yesterday morning, just sort of said, 10 years, mate, it's gone quick. And obviously all the boys in our 2010 WhatsApp group are all over it and sending some messages in. So we haven't had a chance to celebrate it, obviously, and it's been a very strange year, but I'm sure next year we'll make sure the club put on a big event so everyone can relive it. And hopefully we're still in a good mood after winning the 2021 as well.
And you've got so many challenges this year, and one of them was missing out on the celebrations. But what's it been like for you and the rest of the staff in the hub?
Yeah, it's just been a strange experience. I think it's just all hands on deck. So rather than your standard roles, everyone's sort of just chipping in wherever we can, because obviously there's a lot less staff over here than what we're used to. But yeah, it's been a good experience. Everyone, in terms of the way that we've banded together, we've tried to do everything we can to make sure the players are set and best prepared as they can be. So it's been difficult for every team, really, with the challenges we've faced. But at the same time, we know that we've got a job to do, and I think the boys have done it really well. They've been really professional. We've certainly had some obstacles and challenges in terms of injuries and players' availability. So other guys have had to step up, and even around your training, there's only certain days you can and can't train, and you can do contact and can't do contact. So some pretty strict regulations around everything. But I think the boys, every time they face a hurdle, they just go straight over it. So we haven't had any complaints from anyone.
And we know it's no holiday because we've heard that people have been sleeping in camper vans up there. So who's that? Because it wouldn't be you, because you're one of the big dogs at the club. So who's sleeping in the camper vans?
Leadership's all about falling on your sword when you need to, and looking after the precious players. So I actually am in the camper van. So this is second time round down at Joondalup. So we had the first time we were down here for 2 weeks, and it's the same five, and then we've added Stephen Riley to it this time around because he wasn't with us last time. So no, we love it down here. We've got our own little space, and we sit around. We've circled the wagons, and in the middle we've got the table with the TV and watch the footy together. So no, we've loved it, mate.
I'm sure they're like the big fancy Winnebagos they have on the movie set. It's probably better than the hotel rooms that the boys are in. But tell us a little bit about your role this year. And you're obviously on the bench. You'll be on the bench tonight. Just expand on what your role has become, given the situation we're in.
Yeah, again, it's just sort of, as I said, all hands on deck. So we obviously haven't had all our coaches and all our development coaches here to help the younger players. So at times you're in there doing some work with some of the taller forwards, just some sort of body stuff and aerial work. We haven't had all our coaches here the whole time either. So one of our other coaches couldn't come to Sydney for the first couple of weeks. They had to go straight to Perth. So basically, as I said, it's just all hands on deck, and sometimes you get asked to go and do this, or you get asked to go and do that, and it's just whatever we need and whatever the players need. So it has been different in that regard, but apart from that, everything else has been pretty normal in terms of my game day role. Obviously, Bucks talks to me on the bench, and I give the messages to the players or to the runners, or work through the bench situation. So he's had some moments where he's been a little bit angrier than others, depending on how we've been playing, but I tend to sort of work through that with gritted teeth. But in the end, mate, we've all had our challenges. But as I said, I think we've done well to get to this point in time, and we're really looking forward to tonight.
Speaking of tonight, what are you expecting from West Coast? It's a really tough trip to go over there to Perth, play them on their home deck. We looked at how they came out in round 8. They were so confident. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting obviously a lot tighter contest. If we go out and deliver the same, we play the same way that we did last time, then we'll be really disappointed, because we feel our preparation's been really good. We feel we have a really good plan to go up against them. Obviously, we have that extra tool in the forward line with Darcy Cameron coming in, and disappointing for Trav Varco, because he's such a great team man and does so much for everyone. But just felt we need that extra tool down there, given obviously when Brodie does have a rest, that takes Coxie out of the forward line to go in the ruck. So we wanted to have Darcy down there so we could keep those extra tools down in that forward line, given West Coast real power in the back half is that aerial and their marking capability. So we've got to make sure that if we don't win, we draw those contests and give our smalls a chance at ground level.
Well, mate, thank you for joining us. Rest up before the big game tonight, and enjoy camper van life.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
There you go, Tony. Can you picture yourself staying in a camper van leading into the game?
Well, things haven't changed, have they? In my day, yeah, it would have been an old caravan, or a one-bedroom room in Brisbane or something like that. But look, it's been an amazing year, hasn't it? And I've got to, not just our club's been brilliant, but also the whole AFL system has been fantastic. Get this season done and coming to the climax now, it's been an amazing, logistical effort.
It's all come together pretty amazingly, hasn't it? At the start of the year, we all thought footy may never happen, but we're here and we're in finals. Yeah. We've got the game tonight. Let's take a look at the lineup for us.
Yeah.
So, starting from the back line, Jack Crisp, Jordan Roughead, Jack Madgen. Madgen's been fantastic in his last couple of games. He's really got a bit of confidence now. Braden Maynard, Darcy Moore and Isaac Quaynor across half-back. Looks like a really good back line there, Tony.
Look, I think it's great, especially Jordan Roughead being back in. He was injured a couple of weeks ago and didn't play, or they rested him at the time too. Look, I just think the one thing about, they've got 3 tools, West Coast Eagles. There's a bit of a doubt about Josh Kennedy, but they say he'll play. Oscar Allen's a better player than people give him credit for, and Jack Darling. So to have, Moore down there, to have Ruffy, Maynard, Chris can take the bigger size, So I just love that we can cover any time that they throw 3 tools, you can do it. And we've got the flexibility that Maynard and Chris can play on smalls also.
And now let's take a look at the mid. So Chris Mayne comes back in. That's great. He's another one like Tay Adams.
Yeah.
He rolls his sleeves up, gets in there, barometer for the side. Adam Chaloy's had a great year, and you must be impressed with Josh Dacos this year. He really looks like he's just adjusted to playing senior footy every week, and his effort is amazing.
Well, you need someone who uses the ball as beautifully as he does, like his father used to too. But Josh, no, he's made his own name now. His wing and the work on the wing's been great. I'm just thinking whether Chris May might have a job, like a bloke like Andrew Gaff. He plays on the outside, so they're not hard to tag, those blokes, but no one goes to Andrew Gaff, and he just keeps racking them up. Just wonder whether Chris Mayne might get a job of trying to stem his impact on the game, which I think he could do pretty well.
It's great to have Maney back in this side. Now let's have a look at the half forwards. Will Hoskin-Elliott, Brodie Myercheck, Jaden Stevenson, and then the forwards, Jamie Elliott, Mason Cox, Jordan Ngoe. Looking really strong up forward. None of these guys have been super consistent this year. I suppose a few have missed with injuries. Not everyone's kicking goals every week, but we need an even spread of goal kickers, and this looks like a forward line that can do it.
You know what I say to that 6? don't get outmarked. I don't care. You are a marking player now. If you think you're a crummer or a person who does it mostly at ground level, I don't care. You just don't want West Coast Eagles taking easy marks in defence because they set up so well by foot out of there. So I just say to whoever, Jaden Stevenson hasn't been in great form and has been down on Collingwood. I'm just going to say to Jade, you go for it, son. You know, he can come out of the square, he can lead up. If the ball's, matter of fact, I think the kick that you want going into the forward line is one that might even be on the ground. Because they don't like that, the West Coast Eagles. They want it lobbed up so they can play off each other and zone off. I just say to them, we don't want them to mark uncontested at any time.
Well, hopefully we get some goals out of all those blokes tonight. And some of these guys in the midfield too. Like when you look at the great side, especially when you look back at 2010, you've got 10, 11 goal kickers. All the great sides have that. And the midfield looks like they can bring some as well. Yeah, look, it's an amazing... Brodie, big job on that Nui. We know that you're not going to always get the tap out, but I'll be thinking and saying to Brodie, you know what, you're not going to outreach him because this bloke's a superstar. He's got, it's an amazing athlete. I'd like him to try and aim for his forearm here in the tap outs. A lot of times you don't get caught up there because you're saying you're trying to hit the ball, but you can hit here. And just so he can't palm it as softly as he does, and then just work the wings, like I said, try and be that conduit out of defence. Taylor, we know what he does well. Scotty, of course, missing the last game. That's going to be a plus for Collingwood, you know, just knowing that he's out there again. I love the way Johnny Noble's gone about it too. I'd nearly start Johnny Noble. I know that they've named him on the interchange, but I just think that he's run and carry. You've got to take the West Coast on to get through the lines. They love sitting back and you've got to move them around. Another player this year who's been absolutely fantastic, John Noble. His pace off the back line, he's grown in confidence. Looks like he's just slotted right into the side and doing an amazing job. So, and you mentioned Pendles. You know, if anyone's going to come and knock you off your mantle tone as the game's record holder for the club, it's not a bad bloke to do it. I know you're not. No, I know you're not wrapped, but, but I tell you what, we're going to be talking about this guy for a long time. Look, I didn't speak to him personally, but I spoke to him on 3AW. I sent him a personal to his voicemail, and I just said, look, like you said, I don't mind getting knocked off by a superstar. Like if it was a mug or something like that, I wasn't happy about that. But look, it's a long time. No one will play more games than Scotty Pendlebury. He can play for another 2 years, and if he doesn't play in the midfield, I've got no worries he can play as a tall forward. You know, he's 6'3", and he just knows the angles. I love the way he goes about it, and I said to him, matter of fact, it'd be great to hold up the cup, you know, him as captain of the premiership. That's the one thing he hasn't got. And I said, I'd love to do it and I'd love to have that photo done. And I would have been there on that night when he broke the record anywhere in Australia. I would have been there. And I told him that too. And I just love him, the way he goes about it. Well, it's a real shame that you got to miss out on that moment. Like we saw it with EJ Whitten when he did it with Doug Hawkins when they handed the ball over to each other. And I also pictured you, you know, doing something like that with Scotty. And I'm shattered we didn't get to do that. We didn't get to actually enjoy, you know, the celebration or the anniversary of the 2010 premiership and also the 90 premiership. They're two other things that we've missed out on this year. And I'm sure the club will do something next year because, you know, they were such huge moments for all our supporters. But the club will do something because they'll get a couple of thousand people there and they'll make a lot of money. And that's Eddie will do something. I know that's going to happen. Well, you know, when you look back at 1990, what's probably the main thing that sort of sticks out for you? Probably what's got to happen tonight for our team. If you don't pressure like that last game against West Coast Eagles, they will hurt you. If you pressure, and I think we've seen in these couple of finals that have already been played, really at it all the time. Both sides, no, don't give a coin. But that's the thing. Collingwood in 1990, after the draw against West Coast Eagles, which could have been the other way, we had 3 games to win the premiership, and we did. But we broke tackling records for the club with pressure. And we broke sides down after that. Like, I think it was the highest margins in 3 games, 3 finals ever in AFL, VFL history, you know. So that's what it is. And look, you just ask everybody to play their role. Look, we got probably players, and you look at a Levi Greenwood, he's going to be a role player. You know what he does. He can play back, he can play tag, he can do... But you know, you just say to him, we don't need anything special off you tonight. And everybody knows that, and you just go about it that way. If at the end you're not good enough, you don't want to blame a lack of effort and a lack of pressure for causing that. One of the other great things we've seen this year is the Brown boys. They're not in the side tonight, but they've both been fantastic. But the Browns, the Dacosses, the Shaws, the legacy that these families have left, and especially what was it like to play alongside Dakes? Like that bloke, he just looked like he could do anything. Well, look, everybody says Scotty, who's the greatest player, and look, when you name Scotty Pendlebury, you look at other great names in Collingwood's history, Bobby Rose, Peter McKenna, Len Thompson, Bucks himself. Then Peter Dacos, to me, was the greatest player that I played with.
and sore. You know, what he did on a football field. You've got to remember too, he was a very good midfielder before he did his knee and then became a small forward. Like, he was an All-Australian midfielder and he did his knee twice, matter of fact. So we probably didn't see the best of him as a midfielder, but he was freakish. But he was also talented. He could kick 70, he could jump on your head when he was going before he did his knees. And his body work was just, you know, it was just great to watch. Darren Mullane, you know, there was plenty. And that grand final, you've got to remember, at the start of that grand final in 1990, we were not under the pump, but a couple of goals down, and Dakes kicks this goal from the boundary line, which was just freakish. You know, I can remember Terry Danaher just turning around, he was looking to go, and you couldn't have seen light between the posts, and Dakes kicked it, and Terry Danaher just looked around and gone, like that, you know, and I thought, that just says what Peter Dacos did. But you're talking about one highlight, about 15-minute, 20-minute mark of the last quarter. You know, I'd played in 2 losing grand finals 9 years earlier, and Craig Kelly ran at the ball, and it was between an Essendon player and him, and he put his head down, and the ball sort of was under him, and he hit the bloke's shins, the opposition bloke's shins, because he was standing up, with his head. Anyway, it came out, and I dived on it, and the umpire called a ball up, and I remember spinning on my backside, and I was still, you know, sitting on my backside, and I put my hand up and said, Ned, that's why we're going to win this Premier. That's a 20-minute mark of last quarter, and we're 7 goals up. You know, that was the frightening part of it for me, that we, you know, to get it. But to have that was one of the highlights of that whole grand final for me. And it's only a small little snippet of what everybody played their part.
Some very famous vision that I remember well. Now, we did a competition during the week in the lead up to the game with Emirates, and this was about choosing your favourite moment from a finals. Now, the 2 moments that made it, the first one was Heath Shaw in the 2010 grand final replay. The smother, the librarian smother, when he ran down Nick Rewalt and smothered the ball in the goal square. And the other one was in 1990, Peter Dacos in the qualifying final against West Coast.
Oh, the goal!
Three of my favourite players. It's Rowdy, Brown, Pants Mullane, and then over the top to Dakes, and Dakes slots it,
dribbles it along the ground, and kicks a goal.
Absolutely amazing moment. Yeah. So, and the winner of our Emirates comp for this week was Amber Lation from Morwell in the Latrobe Valley. So, congratulations, Amber! You're our winner of the competition this week. Well, Tony, that's it. We need to let you get off to 3AW, mate. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll tell you what, I've got a little surprise here for you.
Have you?
I've got one of your old mates down here.
What, a check?
I know, I've got one of your old mates down here, so we'll get that out of the way.
How good is that?
There's your old friend, the 1990 Cup.
Gee whiz.
So just give that a little
I had
kiss to...
a few drinks out of this one. And I slept with it, and that is a true story. I slept with the cup that night. My wife knew that I probably wouldn't sleep a lot, and she went into the other room, our spare room, and I understand it, because but I did sleep okay. I was so tired after the whole week and the build-up, and I had the cup. I took it home, and yeah, the next morning I went around to my brother-in-law's house, and all my family and my in-laws, we all had photos, and then I went down the ground, and first bloke I walked in there was Darren Mullane, and he said, "Give me the cup." He hadn't been to bed, and he had been up all night, but great memories.
Well, we didn't get to celebrate the anniversary of 1990 or 2010, but I'll tell you what, 1990, 2010, 2020, it's got a nice ring to it. I reckon if we can get another one of these cups this year, we'll all be pretty happy.
Let's hope so.
Thanks for coming in, Tony. Thanks everyone for watching. Good night. Enjoy the game.
Hey Collingwood, I wish you all the best for the final series. The footy here, I hope you beat West Coast and get to the semis and make it all the way to glory.
Go to boys!
We're actually more than capable of pulling off a win. Like, although this year's been up and down, and in terms of injuries and the hubs and COVID and all that, we've made it to finals, and you know, now that we're in finals, anything is possible. And if there's any team to win it this year, I reckon it's us. So this is our year, boys. Come on, boys, let's gather around each other and let's do it together. Go Pies!
Thanks Collingwood for playing with all this coronavirus going around.
We just want to wish you the best of luck, and yeah, go Pies!
Come on Pies, we're the best of Eagles! Go Pies!
I just want to say that plane is not only taking yourselves over to that ground in the WA, it's taking the hopes and dreams of every Collingwood supporter with you. So when you're out in that field, don't give up, don't give out, Never give in. Please, just fight tooth and nail. Let's win, win, win.
Coming years, 2020, go the Pies. You can do this. We're at home lockdown, cheering for you. So do a great job. Win this game. Go Pies! Boom!
In the wise words of the brilliant defender Braden Maynard at last year's Copeland Trophy, I love you all. Mwah.
Go Pies!
Go Pies!
We know you can win. Go Pies!
Go Pies!